Hello folks and welcome, Linux Mint 21.3 Cinnamon. Today I'm going to talk about colored text on your boot screens. I'm going to first show you that, and whether you're doing single boot, multi-boot, dual boot, that kind of thing, and the text. Different colors, multi-colors even. And I'm going to first show you the examples and we can move on from there if you'd like to watch the remainder of the video. So let me show you the examples here, and hopefully we'll have a little fun today. Today's user is Mark. It's just a made-up name. All right, these are actually filmed directly on the boot screen prior to the Mint logo. So I'm going to show you this in kind of a visual format with all the different options, or at least the ones I picked. All right, this will be a stormtrooper, and this is a video. So basically, it's highlighting those in green text with yellow highlighters. You can see that flipping back and forth. Okay, so that was Stormtrooper. This one here is the coastline of Oregon using red text with green highlighter. I don't have the best camera equipment in the world, so sorry about that. I'm on my limited budget there. So this one here is more of a traditional green, and it's just one color on that one. This one here is a traditional white with black background. And the last one here, not the last one, but in the series, a black background. So I'm going to have to play this again and hit the space bar and hit freeze. So this is considered navy. I have the color charts already sitting on my desktop right now. And I'll show you those color charts. Anyways, the deep blue navy color wouldn't look good with a black background, but it'd be okay with some lighter color. All right, so this is Darth Vader with green, with a solid color, with both the highlighter and the regular color as green. It doesn't have two colors, it uses a single. This one here is the same in yellow. Okay, and this computer guy here is in yellow also. Now you notice that that was, here I'm going to play this again. You can see it's counting down. I'm also going to talk about the timer. Because normally this goes from X amount of seconds and reaches 0 and it boots into the first line item. The reason for boot menus like that is because a lot of people use dual boots, multi-boots, but also booting into the previous Linux kernel in this case, and I have two more. Or I can boot into the firmware, which is the BIOS. And I can also talk about different backgrounds. I'm using Computer Guide just like the wallpaper I'm using here. If any of this stuff interests you, then continue watching. I'm filming in 1920 by 1080, so adjust your YouTube player accordingly, if necessary. I also recommend that you get out your screenshot tool and get it ready. Hopefully you're watching this in full screen because that becomes easier to take your screenshots. You can do full screen or selection. Okay? So keep that ready because I'm going to show you these two files. I'll have you show you this with several opportunities. I have more codes below, but I'm just going to show you the basic codes today. So starting with black all the way down to navy as far as colors are concerned. Filming in 1920 by 1080. To do screenshots, all you do is open up your video player, YouTube player if you're watching this on Mint, and go full screen, and then hit pause on your YouTube player, and then take out your screenshot tool and take a picture of this, or draw a box around this. The other option is to handwrite it. All right, and this is the procedure, and I'll walk you through this one more time. Filming in 1920 by 1080. You're watching this on Linux for Seniors. Linux is for any age. The icon is in the corner. I would highly suggest you subscribe because this video will be more than 15 minutes, so you can watch it at your leisure. Step 1. Are there many ways to do this? Yes. However, I'm going to show you this in a visual format, and hopefully you'll like this format. So we're going to install grub 2 theme mint. So I'll do this together, or try to do this together here. So open this up. And we're going to type in grub in your software manager. What does grub stand for? Grand Unified Bootloader. Install grub 2 theme mint. Okay, so normally that's not installed. And this installs a folder. And I'll show you that folder after I close this box. So this will not be installed by default. This is the only thing you need to install. Again, this installs a folder. So we're going to go to step 2, which is open up our file manager. If you like, I can make this bigger now. Hopefully you made a screenshot already. You can always back the video up. So we're going to open up Nemo, And we're going to go to the file system and open up boot grub themes Linux Mint. Our user for today is Mark. It's just a made-up name. File system, here's boot, open that, go to grub, open that. New folder just got installed. If you installed grub to theme mint, it installs this folder. Open that up, no mystery there, Linux Mint. All right, so I'm going to show you the stuff that's not installed by default. Obviously, most of these images here. I'm going to highlight all of the ones that are not installed because I threw those in there, and they're all PNGs if you noticed. However, this image you will have. This is your default image. It will be black. It looks like black roof tiles. And it is an image that is 800 by 600. These images are also in different formats, but they're all in PNG formats. But they're different sizes is what I'm getting at. They're in various sizes, 800, 1024, 1920, that kind of thing. I didn't see much of a difference actually when I did this. The file in question is this one, the one we're going to discuss first. And that it has to do with adjusting your colors. That's more likely why you're continuing watching this. So that information is contained in here. This file is protected by root permissions, so we need to open this whole thing in root mode. Right click, open as root. I made mention of that in here. So basically in here, we're going to be opening us up with right clicking and opening that up with, we're on step 3. Right click, open as root, put in your password. I'll give you another opportunity to get a full screenshot of that procedure in a minute. All right, so now we're in elevated privilege mode, and now we can, while we can rename things, we can paste things in here, we can remove things, and we can edit things. Step 4, find the file called Theme.txt and copy and paste it. Why do I advocate that? So you can make a copy of this before you edit it. Right click, copy, and paste. That puts it right here. So this is the original file. I edited this file with information in here, with the text that I showed you in those previous videos, those short videos of the boot screen. So let's take a peek at what these look like. All right, we're going to be just talking about 2 things, and I'm going to minimize that and open up the color code chart. Now would be a good time to get out your screenshot tool and take a good picture of this. Again, I'm going to give you several opportunities a little bit later. Always hit pause, screenshot. Now I'm going to make these bigger. All right, I have more codes below, but I'm just going to stick with these. So starting with black, the standard is white. So let's go take a peek at the original file after you installed that application. So in here is the original file, and I am going to skip over some of the properties on the top, and we're going to talk about only one line later for images. This is the item text color. So item underscore color space equals space quote pound and 6 Fs unquote is the color white. It's listed here. The developers of this application chose white item color and also white selection color because these codes are identical. So again, that is the code for white text. Item color, selected item color. You saw me that I used more than one color on 2 of those little mini videos because this file here I edited. That's the file that's currently in use. This is just a copy of the old one. The old one was all white. That's how yours will become. Up at the top also it has the word background.png. That is this image right here, the black one. So they're using black background with white text. That's default. I edited this file, and now I'll let you see the edited version. I edited the name using new.png to make it really simple and short. I'll come back to that later. We're going to deal with the color text first. So we're dealing with item, color, and we're dealing with quote, pound symbol, and these 6 codes. Now, looking at this chart, you can probably see this already. However, how can you discern an O from a 0? I'm going to give you a little clue that's kind of funny. They look like eyeballs. They have little dots in the center of the O's. That's a 0. So that's 00 FF 00. There are 6 digits in here. I actually make reference to this right up here. Pound symbol before the 6 numbers or letters. Why do I say numbers or letters? Because that's all zeros. The color black for text. What would you use black text for? Something white will stand out, like this one is using black text. That's the code for that. 6 zeros. Okay, 3 and 3. So I'm using 2 zeros, 2 F's, and 2 zeros. So let's match that up. Well, 2 zeros, 2 F's, and 2 zeros is lime. Another name for that is bright green. That also goes well with a black background. However, for the selected item, I am using different codes for that. You remember there were multiple items in that menu when I showed that video. There was Linux Mint, then there was advanced settings, and then there was the EUFI boot menu. Anyways, there were 3 items. Well, when you're highlighting those, that becomes this color. So that would be 4 F's and 2 zeros, and 4 F's and 2 zeros is yellow. Now you know the different color codes based on just simple color codes here. I also showed the navy color, which is, well, 4 zeros and an 8 and a 0. Okay, I'll cover that a little bit after I close this screen. So all you're doing here is you're editing this field and this field. Whatever you do, it needs to be 6 digits, and it needs to be valid digits, and it has to have a pound symbol in front and a quote before and after. As long as you're clear on that one, we can save the file. So what they look like when you get done, I'll go to downloads and give you one more example of this. And I want to hit pause because this is a video. So this is yellow text. And if I play it on, I don't know if I'm moving. No, I'm not moving anything on this one. Let's try this one here. Same thing here. Sorry, it's just a single yellow color. That one I'm highlighting it. It's actually green on both, highlighter and green text. You can see me moving the box around. Over here though, I am actually changing the color from green to yellow. That's the highlighted version. Does that make sense? So it's 2 colors actually there. And the same thing goes with this one. This is red text with green highlighter. And I'm sorry, my camera equipment is not that great. So, on a limited budget. So, that's all we're doing here. All right, so the next item in line is after we edit the text. Again, we're going to come back to the background image last. So we just edited the colors using only 2 things. And again, hopefully you've had a screenshot of this, and I'll give you this one more opportunity here. And I'm going to do basic codes, which will be this. I know you can see more stuff. All right, so I'm going from black and white all the way down to navy. So these are the codes that you can start playing with. These are not mystery. You can find them if you look deep enough on the internet. All right, so the file again is text, Theme.txt. I'm just providing this data for you. And I hand typed all this stuff with the exception of this boxes. But when you find them online, they'll probably be in uppercase letters. Anyways, I'm going to close that down and open up this one. Another screenshot opportunity here. Again, go full screen, hit pause, do a screenshot, and then continue the movie or the video. All right. Now that we've done that, let's talk about something important. Are you going to be doing a reboot right now? No. You're not going to see that menu. Why not? because this is a single boot system. It normally doesn't show the menu. Okay, so let me talk about something important. So under here is your updater Linux kernels, but it also contains a line that should be helpful to you. During a reboot, you can press and hold the Shift key to show your boot menu. That's just a temporary thing. What if you want to see it all the time? Well, if you want to see it all the time, we need to edit something, and it's not in the same place. I was in here earlier. Now we're going to need to go over to here. Instruction number 7. Again, the previous one was you made a screenshot of the color chart. We'll get that over with. All right, to make the boot menu visible in Linux Mint on a restart, you need to edit this file, which is etc default, and you're going to look for grub. It doesn't have an extension. So etc default should be easy to remember. Default etc default. All of the files in here are also protected by root permissions because you don't want everybody to edit these. Right click, open as root, sign in. Make a copy of this. I actually made a reference to it here. Copy and paste the grub file. Why do I always recommend that? In case you make a mess of it, so you have a reference to it. You also see what the original looked like. So that's the original grub file. It says copy on it because all I did was right click, copy that, and then do a quick paste, and it puts it right next to it. You can certainly put this elsewhere also. I've shown that in the past also. So let me open up the first one. This is the original grub file in etc default. So it has more information about our Grand Unified Bootloader. All right, over here, you'll see some pound symbols. If you change this file, you need to run update grub, and I'll show you how to do that also. So what we're looking for is this right here. It's grub timeout style. There's an underscore underneath all of these. So that means that the boot menu is hidden if you're using this file. It has a 0 timeout. That means it's not going to show at all. So what I did here was I edited this file, and I'll make it larger for you. I changed the hidden to menu. That displays your boot menu after you reboot, as long as you put a positive number here. The number here was 0. That means there's no time. It closes immediately. You want to put something positive, maybe 4 seconds, maybe 7, maybe 10. That's up to you. All right, I got mine set for menu 7 seconds and then close. Okay, so if you're also looking to extend that menu, if you are already a dual booter, that's how that's done. So now that you save this, you open that again and check it. Did you have the reflection changes done? Menu, 7 seconds. Yeah, it looks good. Don't forget about this. This is where people make their mistake. They automatically go and reboot the system and they go, that didn't work. So they give up on it because number 8 is extremely important. Perform a sudo update in your terminal box. Anytime you do this, you are going to update a bunch of files. Control-Shift++ to make it bigger for you. You're going to perform that command. Type that in your terminal box. Sudo superuserdo space update -grub. You're updating your Grand Unified Bootloader. Put in your password. Our user for today is Mark. I'm going to read off some of these lines to you if you don't know what they are. So it's going to be sourcing the file etc default grub. That's the last file I edited. One of the things that are in there is you're changing that hidden to menu. That's what you're updating here. And you're also updating the time frame to 7 seconds in my case. It also updates a couple of the grub files, or checks them at least, and then it generates a grub configuration file, and then it states it found a theme. So it found a theme because you added this grub2 theme, and it found it in your file system boot grub themes Linux met. That's exactly what this line states right here. And then it's going to process the Theme.txt file. What was contained in there as a reminder? The colored text green or white or whatever color you picked. It also contains information about your background image. I'll get to that in a minute. Then an OS prober starts, or it does this in conjunction, but the OS prober looks for Linux distributions and other bootable images. Maybe Microsoft Windows is on this same machine. And if it does find it, it puts an entry in here. In this scenario, I only have Linux Mint installed. However, it found more than one kernel though. Right-click, System Settings, System Information. I'm using the Edge version today. 6.5 series kernel, 26 is the ending number. It finds an entry for that. There's also two entries with Linux Mint. There's the VM Linux and the INI TRD. There'll be two entries for every one of these. So it also found a 15 times 2 and 14 times 2. Where are they located? Shield, View, Linux Kernels, Continue. 26 kernel, 15 series kernel, 14 series kernel. If you're not aware of this, but your standard version is 5.15. Brief, brief, brief. Linux Mint, download all versions. Edge version is made for newer hardware, usually 6.2, 6.5 series kernel. Standard version of Cinnamon, 5.15. Not talking Mate or XFCE. We're talking 21.3. Cinnamon has two versions. So if you have newer hardware, you may want to try downloading that as an ISO. Okay? So that's what I'm using right now. The 6.5 active kernel. But I have these two installed and the system finds them. They're in here and they'll be part of my boot menu. Let me open this up for you. I won't be able to open up the menus, but I can show it to you. Which one do you want me to use? I can use Darth Vader to be dark. All right, I'm going to hit pause for a second. So as you see this boot entry, this timer starts to count down to 0. So if I don't make any changes with my arrow keys on my keyboard, it automatically defaults to this boot entry, which is the 526 kernel in this case. However, if I wanted to boot into the 515, I use the arrow keys on my keyboard to go up and down, and it stops the timer. I can select the bottom number, which is Advanced Options, and select that 15 or 14 kernel. I can also use the arrow keys to continue on to the UEFI firmware settings, which is my basic input operating system settings. If I had another Linux entry, I could boot into that one. If I have a Microsoft Windows entry, I can boot into that one using the arrow keys. That's the sole purpose for this. The background image we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. All right, so it found a 26 kernel times 2, a 15 series kernel times 2, and a 14 times 2. OS Prober is doing all this work. So again, if you had, let's say, Microsoft Windows, then it found another entry. Maybe another Linux distro, that kind of thing. You need to perform this before you reboot. So it updates all these files properly. Okay? So after you perform this command here, the sudo update grub, you can do this multiple times, it doesn't hurt anything. You're now ready for reboot. So when you restart the computer, it depends on how I set my file, whatever I chose for a background. I don't remember what I used for last, but I'll tell you in a second. You will get a different scenario. We can either do, these Stormtrooper guys, or we have the computer guy. I'm not sure which, with different colored text on it. That's yellow, yellow, green, two-tone colors, different image. Now let me open that back up again. Boot, grub, themes. I can tell you what it is in a second. All I need to do is look at this file right here. So it's going to be using the new PNG image because that's what I converted the old file to. This one here, where is it at? Sorry, apologize. Was using background.png. That was this one. I didn't like that. I didn't like this black picture. So I changed that to the new one, new PNG, which is currently this image right here. All I need to do is rename these things in root mode. Keep in mind, I can't rename them while I'm not in this mode. I got to do this first. Okay, then you can rename these. If I wanted Computer Guy to be my new image, I will change that name to something different. I'll just put a bunch of A's in front of it. Okay, throws it up here. Rename that. Take away the 13. Hit enter. Now that's new PNG. Because that file here is looking for that name. That one. I close all that. I perform a what? A sudo update. Again, you can do this. Get into a habit of doing that anytime you change these kind of entries. All right, so but you also got to think about the colors. What did you use on your Theme.txt? So your new PNG image may be different. So your colors may also have to be changed based on this color code chart. Because a light color image with this basic color codes may be different in here. Is that confusing you? Maybe I'll separate these. Okay, so these color codes based on your new image, maybe your last image was dark and now the new one is like Computer Guy with white background. You may want to change those colors. Something to think about. Last item, how do you edit images? I can use every one of these things for my backgrounds in different sizes even. So one more time with the size image that the application that you installed currently uses is this one. And I'll remind you one more time what size it is. It's 800 by 600. If you would like to use that for these images, that's fine. These are all different sizes. And you can experiment that on your own. I really didn't find a difference between an 800 by 450 and a 1920 by 1080 that much. There was a slight difference, yes. But they're fairly decent size, at least on my screen. So let's talk about general rules when you're taking a JPEG and converting into a PNG. So I will take Computer Guy. He's a JPEG. Computer Guy is currently 1920 by 1080. We're going to make that 800 by something. So you can open this up with your Pix tool. You already have that installed. All right, do the resizer thing. 800 by 450 is good enough. Okay, it's already converted. Now you just need to do a save as. All right, call it whatever you want. So I have in Mark's downloads folder, I have 31 JPEG. We'll call it 32. .png though. That's the important part. You can't use JPEGs. They don't work too well. You need to convert those to PNGs. You can change the compression level if you like. I'm just going to use the save button. All right, so that's our new image. He's 800 by 450. I'll take Darth Vader. Darth Vader is roughly 1600 by 900. We're going to reduce that to 800 by something. I don't remember where I got this. It was off the internet somewhere. I'm going to use this with GIMP this time. GIMP is also a nice tool for this job. Image, scale image. All you need to do is leave the lock on, which is default, and just change the top number and hit enter. It'll convert the bottom number to 450 in this case. I'm just going to leave the screen res with 300 pixels per inch just to keep that video going a little bit faster. But you need to do an export as instead of save as. So export as, and we're going to rename that, I don't know, Darth, what haven't I used yet? I got Darth 999, so let's just use Darth 12. And we're going to put a PNG on the end of that. PNG, not MG. My goodness. Helps with you spell right. I'm just going to keep the defaults, but you can adjust the compression level if you like. I'm going to close that and do a discard. It doesn't discard the old image. The old image is still here. So the old image was 16 by 900. The new Darth 12 is currently 800 by 450. So roughly half. Okay. So I'm going to take both of these at the same time, highlight both of them and copy them, and find my boot, grub, themes, Linux Mint. I can't paste those. I need to be first in root mode. Open as root. And now I can paste these. Now you can turn around and whatever this file, if you kept the old name, then name your image background.png. If you converted it like I did here, then it needs to be called new PNG. So my new PNG is currently that. So we need to rename that first before I can use these images. Okay, so I will rename that to something different. You can put a bunch of B's in front of it if you like. And then I'll take and use, is that one of the ones I just brought in? Let's see what size this is. 800 by 450. I think this is it. So we're going to just pull the name off and type in new. That makes it simple, right? Because this file here is looking for the image name new.png. That's the reason you're doing this. Close, close, and update. Always get into a good habit of doing that. That way everything is in sync. I'm going to type in exit. And we are ready for restart. Okay. The only thing I'm going to make mention, if you watch this video so far, as a bonus, in here, if you're wondering what this is, these are the mini icons that show up in the menus. What I mean by that, Control N. You see this white icon? It's actually this one right here. I'll open this with Pix. And then I'll enlarge that for you. It'll get very grainy. It's an icon that's 32 by 32. All of them are 32 by 32s, and they look grainy when you blow them up. They're all white. Not advocating you change anything. I'm just showing you where they're located. Arch. You have Gen 2. There's Manjaro, SteamOS, Solus, Pop! OS, Ubuntu, Mac OS, Windows, Endeavor OS, Elementary, and lots more icons are in here for that. I'm not advocating you do anything with them. I just wanted to let you know what was in that folder. Thank you for watching.